So I want to invite, of course, Patricia, my dear colleague, co-founder, to talk from the education perspective. And also want to invite Vishnu and Priyanka. Maybe I start with Priyanka first. Priyanka is actually one of our psychotherapists who graduated many years ago, and now she is a very experienced, well sought after psychotherapist, specializing in youth mental health and parents mental health. And in private practice, seeing local and international clients. And of course, I'd like to Vishnu, who is also our psychotherapy graduate many years ago, and now he is working as a psychologist in one of the government, is it government-linked sectors?
Government-funded charity organization.
Government-funded charity organization working with, I would say, acute cases. Acute cases means like, serious depression, anxiety disorders, borderline disorders, schizophrenia. So I'd love to hear from you from the psychotherapy viewpoint. So let us begin, right? So I think the first question that I want to ask is to Priyanka, right? In terms of, how long have you graduated from the school?
It's more than 5 years.
More than 5 years, right? What is the one takeaway that you are able to materialize from your education journey over here? One is education journey, and second is your personal journey that is now showing up in your practice.
After I finished from TSPP, I went on and I did a master's and I learned a lot of other things, but it's funny that I still use what I learned here because it was so practical, right? And it was so direct client oriented that I'm still using what was taught to me in the first class. You were the first person
Oh, really close.
who taught me then.
Okay.
And I think that's the practicality of being client focused and of being able to put the client at ease is, I think, at the center of everything I do, because all that you learn, and I think in this line you keep learning, but if you are not able to make the client feel safe and comfortable, and you're not able to make the client come up with what you're thinking out, I think nothing else matters. So I think that's where I'm still at, like putting the client at the center of making the client feel comfortable, making the client feel safe is what I'm still carrying to tell you whatever I do. Yeah.
Thank you. I got one more question for Vishnu. On the same note, what was it like for you from becoming learning psychotherapy for yourself and then moving into become a practitioner and now becoming a psychologist? Because I know that you work in complex cases, and maybe you can share with me some of the cases or type of cases that you work with, and how does it bring joy to you?
Okay, that's quite a lot in one question. Okay, maybe I'll share my own progress first. I think studying counseling, psychology, psychotherapy, and whatever you call it, of all the different domains, it actually made me a better person. And in the sense that learning all these things just is not for you to help others. You actually embody the qualities, the values, the teachings. And so one example I would give is, okay, so I don't smoke. I've got nothing against smokers. So I used to tell my friends to not smoke when they smoke, and they've always been very resistant to it. But I think after I got through training and then I told it to them to stop smoking, they actually told feedback to me that there's actually a difference in the way I'm telling it to them. Even though but to me, I don't realize it. I'm actually telling them the same thing, do not smoke. But I think because I embody the qualities, I change, fine-tune certain things that I say, the way I say. And also one of the lecturers actually told us that sometimes it's not the message, it's about the delivery of the message that makes a very big change and a very big instance to whoever you're speaking to. So I think the way I communicate with people, the way I speak to people, the way I want people to embody what I'm trying to embody, the message I'm trying to send also makes a very big part. So that's actually a very big change I've realized. Some other changes is, so when I first joined in, hypnotherapy was the first module I took. And as you can see from how I'm speaking, I speak fairly fast. So I think the most common thing was that you keep telling me to slow down, and if you think you have slowed down, slow down more. So definitely in therapy, I have to toggle a bit, switch myself down a bit. And I also realized that these kind of smaller things that when I learn through courses, through modalities, and when I apply it in my own life, I also realize that I also can use it when I give talks, when I speak to people, when I speak to coaches, or when I'm coaching others, or in therapy. It all plays a very big part in the bigger circle of things that I do. So yeah, so that's the things. Those are things that about progress. With what are the other questions? Clients, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so my workplace, we deal with actually a lot of different clients, from simple issues like work stress, anxiety, mild depression, all the way to severe suicide, severe depression, severe anxiety. The reason why I deal with the acute cases because of my role as a psychologist. And I would say, as much as I cannot help every single one, because not everyone comes in to help themselves. Some of them are referred in because of a referral through a doctor, or just forced to come in through a relative or family or friend. End of the day, they must have the willingness to change. Then I can step in to help them. And I always tell them that end of the day, I'm not here to change you. You're not here to try to get me to change you. But end of the day, I'm here as a partner. I'm here as someone to journey through whatever issues that they are going through, to journey through whatever problems that they are facing, and to, like what he said, to weather the storm together. And storms are always available, storms are always there, storms are always there for us to get through. But it's about how we get through is the whole key thing of what we are trying to get to in therapy. And I will always remember the first case that I ever got after I graduated from TSPP. I'm not sure if he remembers this, but I actually saw 3 supervisors for the first case I ever did. Yeah, so one for CBT, SF, and Hypno, because there were a few elements that combined everything. And I really had no clue of the vantage point to get in with this client. So this lady who was pregnant gave birth to a stillborn at 9 months, found out that she was cheated on with her best friend's boyfriend. Yeah, so there's a lot of layers. And the hypnotherapy part came in was because she had dreams and night terrors and all that, and she was imagining this guy coming to her door and putting a hand through and all that. So and on top of that, there were hallucinations of baby. So they meet a nursery. So when she's alone, she hears the doorbell ringing. She hears baby toys playing in the rooms and all that. Yeah, so if you can imagine me just going through a 1-year course, and this is the first client that you get, yeah, it's pretty scary lah. So if you ever do take up a course and you take up such a case, you actually realize the magnitude of such a case, and why I had to go to different people and try to find out what is a good vantage point, what is a good way to work with the client, where do I work with? Do I work with the grief and trauma of the stillborn? Do I work with the cheating and infidelity? Do I work with the hallucinations and the depression and anxiety? Yeah, so there's just too much for me to handle. But I think a good thing was all 3 of my supervisors were very supportive, and they said, if you're confident, just go for it. And I would say that case took me 2 years to work with, and because of that, I had a very steep learning curve with how I work with clients, what I learned with, how do I cope with such acute cases and all that. And this was before I got my job as a psychologist in Clarkfield. So yeah, I would say I have a lot of cases like this. For some reason, after that one case, I didn't know that would be the start of a very acute journey for myself as a therapist. So when I got my job, then I got my job as a psychologist, and yeah, more acute cases coming in and all that. But surprisingly, because of that 1 month of that first case that I handled, which I would say I grew quite a fair bit, it helped me to work with such issues even better, with more efficiency, and yeah. And I think I did pretty well in my job, so I became a clinical supervisor now, so with more cases and all that. So I would say everybody has a starting point, and to me, I'm always grateful that my starting point was TSPP, with what they have taught me, with the way they have taught me, and with all the things I've learned from the people I've spoken to, the lecturers and friends and colleagues.
Thank you very much, Vishnu. Thank you for your very powerful and this is the same question I'll ask Priyanka. After hearing Vishnu's journey of being a student, being a practitioner, and being a therapist, what was it like for you at your point? What are some of the highlights?
I think as he said, it's not like any other job that you go in and you keep like getting a promotion or maybe making more money. It's a journey where you are going and you have no idea what's going to come next for you. So when I started out with youth because I had background of working with youth, so I thought, yes, that's comfortable, and because I'm getting more clients in this sector, I'm going to do that. But each case brought out something which I related to in terms of, what you were talking about, existential angst. And like you start realizing who you are internally with each case. So you are on the surface healing the client, but parallelly it's a journey that you are taking where you are understanding yourself more and more. And there are parts of it that you say, I never thought this is something that is in me. Like it's supposed to be in someone else, or I see someone else and say, that's when you realize when you project, when you feel triggered, it's all something you're hiding, and the more you heal others, you heal yourself. So my journey was like, I started out with the youth, and then obviously it kind of went to parents, and then it went to like all age groups. And I was just telling Vishnu, I'm actually seeing clients from like 9-10 years old right to any age, and each age has something where I am able to relate to. And so then when they say age is a number, I understand, because there is, everything is present in everyone. There isn't like an age group. Obviously there's something that is typical to that age group, but then there's something that every age group will be able to teach you and you are able to relate to. So my journey was more of understanding myself, and I realized the more I understand myself, the better healer I become. And so it's a personal story of growth, and I would just like to point out the reason I came to therapy was not because I wanted to be a therapist.
I didn't know that.
It was really a serendipity in a way. I was in communication, I was in media, it was more of a line where I was in the center stage. And you have to put yourself out there for those. So that was the, thought process that I was in. Okay, how can I be there kind of thing? And on the side, I said, I think I want to volunteer, and I started volunteering with MSF, Ministry of Social and Family Development. And they said, okay, you have some background of working with youth, so yes, let's give you and assign you some youth. However, right in the beginning, I was mentoring a girl, and I was with her for a few years, and there came a situation when this child attempted suicide, and I was right there, and she's lying in a pool of blood, and I realized, I'm just a volunteer, I'm not equipped. And that's when I realized that I need more, information. So I came to study again to protect me, honestly, not as much to help the child at that, because I'm just a volunteer is what I thought. So instead of just finding out anything, I said, if I have all the choice, let me start studying, and I started with undergrad all over again. So it was like my second starting of studies with no agenda, just let me know more. So I did a whole undergrad in psychology, and then I said, I like this, let me learn more, and let me help the child that I'm with a little more. And then I found, TSPP, because I had done positive psychology also in my undergrad. I said, I like this, because it's so positive, and usually in therapy people think it's all very sad and so on. It's not. It's honestly not. Like, therapy sessions can be really fun also, so I wanted to embrace that. So that's when I came here, and I said, I'm going to be a good volunteer. That was my whole thing, that I'm going to learn more because it's interesting. But after I finished this course, I just realized I'm getting sucked into the field more and more. And it's almost like things align, and as soon as people hear you doing a course and whatever, people start coming to you. And then the clients grew to such an extent I could not maintain the other job. So I said, okay, let me learn even more and just go completely into the field. So in a way, this has been my journey along with my clients' journey. And there are a lot of clients who've been with me a long time. Even if they're like all okay now, they come back because I think we journey together. So the whole field, if you're thinking of a career, or if you're thinking of a job, or if you're thinking of, I'm going to be successful, I think this is not the field. If you're thinking of growing, then this might be the field, because you'll continue to grow along with whoever you are healing. So it has been a journey which I think it's just a parallel. My clients and we grow together.
Thank you. I think it's amazing. I thank you for sharing. It's very intimate, and so for those of you who are wondering about the journey of studying psychotherapy, I'll ask Patricia the question to share about the course of studies. But before we go there, I think one of the common questions that we get is when we go into this education or training, I hear there's a lot of fulfillment. I hear that there's a lot of career success. I hear that there's a lot of evolution that you go through. But one of the common questions is that when you see clients day in and day out, don't you get burnt out? And imagine someone is attempting suicide, someone is having work stress, someone is having serious relationship issues. And you're seeing so many cases in one day, and plus your family is going through, and some of them, or your friends will kind of ask you, how do you balance all this in between? Does it require a special type of humans? Especially from the point that you weren't a psychotherapist before. Will you share a light about this? Sure.
Okay, I'll share a bit first because she spoke a lot. So, I think burnout is very real. And I think Safel also shared a lot of things about what burnout is, how deep, and it also depends on the perspective of how you view burnout as. I would say I'm one of the luckier ones that I don't face burnout as much because of two reasons. One is I compartmentalize very well, and also with adversities and all that, I've managed to compartmentalize that even better and come to where I am today. The second part is tied in with why I started with therapy and counseling in the first place. So I will share this with introduction at different levels where when you do orientation, they ask you why you do this, why you do that, and I always will say this, that everyone will always start off with a sad story, or they'll start off with how they have been helped before and why they're doing it now, and now they want to return back to share their knowledge, they want to help others as well. I would say I didn't have any of that. I just basically wanted to know why my friends were behaving like idiots while I was growing up. Like why do they, after a heartbreak, why do they turn to doing certain things? When people fail their exams, why do they turn to suicide, why do they turn to doing negative things? Whereas for me was, I had a very natural good coping mechanism. If fail means I was like, okay, just try again. Or if something goes wrong, I'll just tell myself it's a bad day, not a bad life. But all these things were not taught to me. It was just a very natural thing to me. But I didn't understand this internal talk that I had. But I was always wondering why do people behave like that? Which was why then I started doing a degree in psych. After that, I realized that they taught me theories, modalities, not modalities, they taught me theories on human behavior and all that. So now, I could learn why people do what they do. So it's because of whatever experiences, whatever they have went through, biological, psychological, whatever. Then I realized I wanted to help people. So before I took up a master's, I actually came to TSPP to study the postgrad diploma to have a small taste. And after I went through the course, then I realized that okay, so now I want to use this and help people. Then I went on to do my masters and all that. Then when I'm helping people, I realized people don't want to be helped. So technically I'm still stuck at why I first started this whole thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, a very big fulfillment for me is as much as you cannot save everyone, as much as you can help everyone. I'll be very frank. Out of 10 people who come to my room, okay, it's because it's also free service also lah. As you go on, you'll understand the difference between free and paid, but out of 10 people who come to my room, I think I'll really be able to help half of them, or maybe 4 out of 10. But I always tell myself that be it helping on a normal basis or even saving a life from suicide, to me, to us, is just one life, but to them, it's their whole life. And that makes a very big difference. And that makes a difference to their parents, their family, their colleagues. And if you ever talk to people who have lost someone, they will always say that if they had known earlier, if that person had reached out earlier, they will actually do something about it, or they would wish that help was always a call away, a chat away, a text away, and all that. Okay, well that's really depressing. So now we talk about the burnout part again. So for myself, how I cope with burnout is I do a lot of things. I backpack, I scuba dive. I want to say boxing, but some people misconstrue that I take that anger there and go and punch people, but no. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So I think it's very important to understand yourself as a person, your personality type, what gives you happiness, what invokes your spirit, what brings you to therapy, what brings you to want to do counseling. And if you know what's the reasoning for that, and you're able to satisfy that needs, and you're able to reflect at the end of the day why you do what you do, I think it's not too bad. And the last thing I would like to share is, the main reason why I do therapy is, I like the narrative aspect. So that's a nice way of saying I like to hear dramas. So I'm actually there for the tea. And if you actually no two cases are ever the same. They will always be very different, and as much, I'm sure even those who have been seasoned practitioners, you may think you have heard it all. But tomorrow someone will come and rock your world.
Thank you, Mr. for wonderful sharing. I think it's very true if I can echo that one of the common themes is that this friend said, hey, have you catch the latest series? Is it Korean drama or whatever drama on mental health? I said, no, we don't want to watch such things. We have real life dramas every single right in front of us. But I think we also talk a lot of stuff.
So to echo what he just shared, what you all watch in movies and dramas and series, you all will think like, where got such thing one? Cannot be, like, it's so unbelievable. If you were there, you will spot it. But I tell you, people can be very blind when, even if it's right in front of your faces, or you think that it's very obvious and all that. And if you tell, and I would say whatever you watch on TV is just the tip of the iceberg. What happens on the ground is way, very deep. Yeah, I think it's enough to crash two Titanics. One is not enough. But yeah, but it's actually a very interesting experience and journey when you listen to all these stories and all that. And yeah, hopefully you all will face the same, hear the same. And for me, when I hear them, I actually get more energized. So as opposed to my colleagues at work, when they do 2-3 sessions, they get very lethargic. But for me, it's like, I'm very excited to hear what's next.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you for sharing. I wonder if you have any...
My experience is so different. I envy you. Compartmentalize. I'm not sure whether it's the man and woman thing. So I think there is burnout, and it is right. Like the things that we hear in the therapy room is like, it can take any movie or any thriller, away, because it's happening in every life. It's just that people hide. And so when it comes out, and it comes out again and again and again, and the burnout comes when you can relate to some of it very closely, like it has happened or whatever it is, and that's when I think the burnout comes in. But what kind of people would do better if we come to that? You need to have the distance, and I think that can be trained to an extent. It's not something that you're born with. So you do need to have a distance to be able to help. If you start feeling so much right in the session, you really cannot help. So you need to have that objectivity. You need to have that slight distance, at least for the moment. If later on, whatever happens, happens. So that's something that's necessary. Someone who is able to connect the bigger dots. You do not focus on what, because all your clients who come usually focus on this moment, this problem, this is not working. And if you get sucked into that, then you will have more burnout. So a person who is able to stay a little detached, stay a little like with the bigger picture rather than get sucked in too much is, I think, required. Also, people think that whoever comes into therapy are people who are very kind, but I think people need to be very analytical as a therapist, because you need to have, it's almost like the storm that you're talking about, it's chaotic. People do not really tell their story in nice movie kind of a scene by scene. It's really messy. So you need to be analytical to pick up the right pieces and to make a narrative which is helpful. So even after doing all that, there is burnout. You get sucked in, you get totally drained. And as I said, with situations where you feel you can connect. So I have some rituals in place, and my rituals include dancing, my rituals include meditation or yoga, my rituals include walks. If nothing works, I just put on music and go for long walks. I don't want to talk to the world. So sometimes I'm not a very social person, and sometimes I want more energy to get on. So there isn't like a rule book, but I have figured out over years what works and what doesn't. And still there will be some places where I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. But each time that the clients show that you have helped them, that gives you that little reward to say, no, I think I'm making a difference and I'm going to carry on.
Thank you for being so human and sharing your experience from being a student and a practitioner and a therapist. I think it's very valuable for many of us here who are still thinking about exploration. And this question is for Patricia. As a consultant, you work with many people across stages of lives. What are some of the common qualities? I don't know if this is the question that you want to ask. And please, if any questions, please raise your hand and ask them. Then what are some of the qualities that you think that you make them as a better therapist or better in your observation?
I think empathy is important. Yeah, because you need to know what your client is coming from and to understand where they're coming from and to help them. And without the empathy quality, I think it's a bit far-fetched to become a therapist, I would feel. Yeah, because let's say if I always say if I'm a therapist and if I don't think for my client but rather for myself, then the therapist is not going to work. Yeah, so you need to ensure that you think for your client and not the problem as well. Yeah.
Thank you. So will you also be building on empathy? Have you experienced any students or graduates who have completed their journey and it has left a deep impression on you in terms of how they have achieved fulfillment or changes?
Two of them. Of course, there are a lot more. What I see from the students is that it's not just helping the clients, but it's also helping themselves. I think that is very fulfilling because they get to understand themselves better. I think as what Priyanka said earlier, like initially you thought that you're just taking a course to help people or to do voluntary work, but you also get to understand yourself better. It's also very self-healing. I think that is something that the students actually take away from the learning journey as well.
Maybe this question will be more on education perspective. Therefore, as a starting point, what is a good starting point for someone who is exploring this journey while they are still navigating their personal development challenges, while they are also curious?
In fact, our graduate and postgraduate is already 5 minutes, okay. Our graduate and postgraduate is already a foundational level because we do understand that a lot of individuals, they already have a prior education in like a bachelor degree or so forth. So we actually start from basic. Yeah, so we ensure that you have all the foundation and before you move on to the higher level. Yeah, so there is prerequisites for some advanced level. So we just want to make sure that you go through the basic level first before you advance. Yeah.
Okay. This question is actually open. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and wave and ask. Right? This is a. Okay. Yeah. I think one question from the floor. Thank you.
Question for Patricia. Could you maybe just walk us through this is a silly question actually, so someone who has not been exposed to psychology at all, what would that journey look like and how long would it take for you to not know anything that Stephen was talking about? You're taking maybe the first course and then having something like a career like maybe what Priyanka has. How long does it take to get equipped and become that?
I'll say it will take about 2 years. Yeah, because the graduate is about 6 months and you'll be doing a postgraduate after that and you need to clock in your hours. Yeah, so safely about 1.5 to 2 years. And if you wish to carry on the masters, it will take you another year. Yeah, so 2 years to 2.5 would be a good start. Yeah, and because psychotherapy, we go a lot deeper. That's why we will have more subjects as well. So it's a little bit different from our coaching psychology and positive psychology modalities whereby the duration can be shorter. Yeah, but psychotherapy, we need to ensure that our students have all the necessary theoretical background, concepts, and then internalize it, and then you also need to clock in hours. There's 150 hours to be clocked in, including supervision hours. Yeah, so we need to make sure that you complete the journey before you start seeing clients. I think that's really important.
Follow up?
Yeah.
Yes.
People need to hear you.
In terms of, you mentioned that a bachelor's degree would suffice, so any sort of bachelor's degree? I have an architecture degree. That's got nothing to do with
Yes.
psychology.
Yes.
Would that work?
Yeah.
That's
Because
good.
even, we started from the basic. Yeah, so we actually teach you the introduction to psychotherapy and counseling first. That will be the first module you need to take on, and then followed by the more advanced module. Yeah, then you will only do the advanced modules like CBT, solution focus at a later stage, after 6 months or 9 months. Yeah, so there are some prerequisite modules that you need to complete first before you can do the advanced module. Yeah.
Thank you.